Good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, everyone. Tony Chapman.
Mike Sautter.
Mike Sautter. And it is the 8-man playoff bracket reveal today here on Strive Sports. We are in an awkward situation here because we don't have a host. Eric Allgood is running the board because our production man, Nathan Ladahoff, is at Hastings for state softball.
They got moved to today.
Here we are. Mike and I are going to ramble through the D1 and D2 qualifying round games into the brackets that will start in 2 Fridays. All of these games that we're going to be discussing this morning will be on Thursday. So we're going to get right into it with D1 and the west side of that bracket. Your number 1 seed in the West is North Platte St. Pat's. They're undefeated. Mike, they've been number 1 in our coaches poll or at NEB Preps all season long. And they'll play Sutton, who is 3-5. The 2 seed is Sandy Creek. They will host Maxwell in the 2-15 game. The 3 seed is, Highline. Highline, yeah. Their only loss this year is to North Platte St. Pat's. And they will host Summerlin in the 3-14 game. Arapahoe, there'll be some steak salad in Arapahoe. They will host Hemingford. That'll probably be an afternoon game. Maybe we'll see if we can double up on one of those. The 5 seed is Ravenna, kind of under the radar all year, undefeated. Haven't really cracked the rankings until the last couple weeks. They beat Riverside last night for a district title. They'll get defending state champion Neely Oak. No, that's not right. Clarkson Lee won last year. Neely Oakdale was 2 years ago. They'll get Neely Oakdale in the 5-12 game. In the 6-11 game, you have Elkhorn Valley. They will host Riverside. The 7 seed is Perkins County. They'll host number 10 Cambridge. And the 8-9 game is Bridgeport hosting Alma. That is your West bracket in Class D1, those qualifying games. Remember, what we'll do here is they're bracketed West and East. We'll take the 16 winners, and those will get reseeded statewide without reference to geography. Yeah. Anything jump off the page for you there, Mike, on that first
Riverside
side?
Elkhorn Valley seems a little bit interesting, I guess, that you could say.
Yep.
Ravenna's pretty good. They were good last year. Saw them play last year against Riverside.
Yep.
And
on this last night, you kind of doubled up with state softball there, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was the Friday night, and it was in Ravenna. So Ravenna, they were pretty good last year, and then a little young, and now a little older. And look, they're the 5 seed. So
you look through these just a little bit. North Platte, St. Pat's, undefeated,
St. Pat's
really good.
Been the number 1 team all year, and I don't think that changes much.
Yeah, Kevin Dotson, really good football coach, a really good team. Yep.
Maxwell, Sandy Creek. The travel is kind of what you look at in this, and I think that clearly did a good job of making sure that schools aren't having to, go too far away. There's gonna be might be a lot of just night games here.
Yeah, not too bad. You've got Maxwell to Sandy Creek. Summerland to Highline is probably the longest trip there. Hemingford obviously coming way out over to Arapahoe. Yeah, and you look at the 3 teams kind of I look at there. You've got North Platte St. Pat's. They beat Perkins County last night for a district championship. So you got kind of an 8-0 team there. Perkins County, I believe, is 7-1. I should double check that. They're 6-2. My bad. And then Bridgeport's 2 losses are Perkins County and North Platte St. Pat's. So it'll be interesting to see how those shake out. We'll take a quick break. Eric's going to get that D2 or the D1 East bracket put together, and we'll be back here on Strive Sports with the other D1 side.
Limitless. When you believe there's no limit to what you can achieve. You come to Midland for an education, but you will leave limitless. When you believe there's no limit to what you can achieve. You come to Midland for an education, but you will leave with so much more. We're a small campus with big opportunities, and whatever you need, we'll help you succeed. At Midland, it's your future, your way, with our support every day. Midland University. It's bold, it's an experience, it's family, it's limitless.
Okay, we are back here on Strive Sports with our 8-man Class D1 bracket reveal. We just gave you the west side of the qualifying round bracket. Now we moved to the east. The number 1 seed in the east is Stanton. They're also the number 1 overall seed should they win their play-in game with Meade on Thursday night. The 2 seed is Crofton, also undefeated, 8-0. They'll play Tri-County Northeast. The 3 seed is Cross County, undefeated in the regular season again, 8-0. Remember, they lost in this round last year to Weeping Water, who we'll see here in a little bit. They'll play Cross County plays Wisner Pilger in the 3-14 game. The 4 seed is Plainview. They will host Hartington Newcastle. My good buddy Rusty Fuller from St. Paul up at Hartington Newcastle now into the playoffs with them. Number 5 is Exeter Milligan Friends, 7-1. Their only loss to Sandy Creek, who is on the other side in a triple overtime thriller this year. A talented running back in Brecken Schluter. They will play Pender. The Penn Dragons are the 12th seed on the east side. The 6th seed is Shelby Rising City, 7-1. They lost to Cross County last night in the district championship game. They've won all their other ones. This is an intriguing matchup with Elmwood Murdoch in the 6-11 game. That game will be in Shelby on the turf. So if we get a little precipitation, we might want to go someplace where the grass isn't wet. On Friday, we could go to Shelby Rising City. The 7 seed is Weeping Water. They will host their Central, another intriguing game on the east side of the bracket here. And the 8 seed is Johnson County Central. They will host defending state champion Clarkson Lee. Those last 3 I just mentioned really jump out at you.
When we first were looking at this during the break, the Clarkson Lee Johnson County Central game is very intriguing. Clarkson Lee obviously is, not quite as good as last year's according to record and teams they've beaten and everything. And Johnson County Central down there in Tecumseh has played pretty well.
Yeah, they have.
They've had some really close games too.
You look at last night. They beat their Central. They beat their Central 22-14. Actually, that was Thursday night. Their losses are to Exeter Milligan Friend. That was a 28-26 game 2 weeks ago. And then in the 3rd game of the year, they lost to Lords, and that was 44-28. So Johnson County Central, Clarkson Lee. Clarkson Lee also lost to Exeter Milligan Friend. And then they had the 2 district losses to Shelby Rising City and Cross County. Let's talk about
the 3. Just the top 3 seeds here are pretty good.
Really good football teams. Yep.
Cross County is a 3 in the East. I don't know if they can get by this game, and what does that mean? Where are they at?
Yeah,
probably a 5.
As I look at the overall, it's the one thing we could kind of go through here now that we've seen them all. So again, the 16 winners will be reseeded. So Stanton is the number 1 overall if they win. North Platte St. Pat's the number 2 overall, Crofton the number 3 overall, Sandy Creek the number 4. So balance in the East and West. You got the top 4 seeds are the 1 and 2s there. After that, Plainview and Cross County are in there. So what we should note is that Cross County would be ahead of Plainview in a tiebreaker, but they're with Sandy Creek in a 3-way tiebreak. So I tried to crunch those briefly. If somebody wants to tweet at me before the show's over, I'm happy to go through those. But it looks like if Sandy Creek, Plainview, and Cross County won, Plainview would be the 6, and Sandy Creek and Cross County would be in a coin flip for the 4-5. I have each with a Division I win, and I have each with opponents who have 23 wins, but I could have mismatched that one up. We split when we go 7-8. Highline and EMF have the same point total. I've not got to that tiebreaker yet, so they would be the 7-8, and then those would be kind of your hosts. If those teams won, you would look at those 8 teams being your hosts, and then Arapahoe the 9, Ravenna the 10, so you could have an undefeated 10 seed, which would be quite interesting. Shelby Rising City, if they get by Elmwood Murdoch, would slot to the 11. Elkhorn Valley the 12. And then you have 3 teams at 13, 14, 15. Weeping Water, who is ahead of Johnson County Central. Yeah. And then you'd bring in Perkins County from the west if they could beat Cambridge. And then Bridgeport would be the 16. So points-wise, what you really look at is kind of intriguing is 15 versus 17 is Johnson County Central and Clarkson Lee in that opening round night on Thursday. Mike, Any players you want to highlight in this D1 group?
I think you look at Cross County, and if they don't slip up like they did last year and lose in the first round, look at a guy like Isaac Dickey, Tanner Hollinger, Noyd. Like, they have the kind of names on the east side, I guess, the big names, if you will. If I'm a 5, like, I don't want them to be the 5 seed and be on their side of the bracket, I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm totally looking ahead, and I know that, but I'm not looking at that.
On the west side, Brecken Erickson and Jackson Roberts really stand out for North Platte St. Pat's, and then Shaw at quarterback for Sandy Creek. There's some pretty good bloodlines there.
Shaw,
obviously.
The Shaw last name. There
with what he.
There's
can do.
other, the relation there.
And so you've got Stanton and Crofton, who are two. Stanton really can run it, and so this bracket, when it shakes out after this opening round game, is going to be really interesting when we sit here next Saturday morning to kind of look at these matchups and see where we're at. So you have the D1 qualifying round games, 32 teams, 16 winners then will be reseeded next Friday and Saturday after those games, and we'll have those matchups for you.
Thursday night, though, like, you look at the travel here, there probably won't be a ton of...
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock games
there
is
what
it feels like.
4 o'clocks, I don't think.
Somebody can sneak a 4 o'clocker in near Grand Island. I might be able to.
I mean, obviously, referees matter in that situation.
Yes, absolutely.
But if you just are going off of travel, it looks like it'd be a night game, which is good for everybody.
It does. We'll take a break. D2 is coming up. We'll get through that one here on a Saturday morning on Strive Sports.
Pump up your day.
Pump up my day.
Pump up my day.
Pump up my day.
With Pumped Up Rewards, you can save big on every gallon of gas just by fueling up, and even more by visiting our stores.
Do I have to?
No, to sign up, it's automatic.
Okay, good.
Sign up today at pumpandpantry.com.
Tom Dinsdale Automotive is celebrating our 20th anniversary. 20 years of building lifelong relationships. 20 years of providing superior customer experiences. 20 years of supporting the community. For 20 years, we've been building trust and loyalty by treating every customer like family on every visit. We're proud to serve Grand Island and the surrounding areas. Thank you for 20 great years, and we look forward to many more. Help us celebrate 20 years of service. Stop in today.
You've been thunderstruck. Thunderstruck. Yeah, thunderstruck. Thunderstruck.
Okay, we are back here on StriveSports.com with our Class D2 8-man playoff qualifying round reveal. And I guess I didn't ask you, we're starting in the West with D2 as well. All right, perfect.
Go West, my friend.
Go West. Tony Chapman, Mike Sautter here. In the West, Dundee County Stratton is your top seed. They will host Elm Creek in the first round. The 2 seed is South Loop. They will host Ansley Litchfield. We'll have to double check that one. That might be a rematch. Mike, South Loop has been number 1 in your coaches poll
all year.
most of the season. And very, very good team there in South Loop. The 3rd seed is Ainsworth. Everybody knows about Ainsworth. There's a little road trip. Kennesaw will make the trip up to Ainsworth. And everybody knows about Carter Nelson, but the defense has really been getting it done. They're not giving up any points up in Ainsworth there. Sandhills Thedford is the 4 seed. They will host Overton. The 13. The 5 seed is Axtell. They host Loomis, which is most definitely probably a rematch of an earlier game there. The 6 seed is Twin Loop. They will host Hitchcock County. Now make sure I'm doing all this. Hitchcock County, the defending state champions from last year, beat Howells Dodge in the state final game. Twin Loop last night lost to Central Valley in a district championship game. We'll see Central Valley over on the other side of the bracket. The 7 seed is Mullen. They will host 10-seeded Hyannis. Not very often. You'll probably get a 7
Yeah.
o'clock game in Mullen in the playoffs, but Hyannis just down the road, so that will also be a rematch of a regular season game. And the 8-9 game is Boyd County, Spencer, Napier, Butte, all those up there. They will play Anselmo, Myrna in the 8-9 game. Anything
Yes.
that jumps out at you there, Mike? Obviously, Ainsworth and what they've been able to do.
DCS, South Loop have been,
Yes.
as far as coaches, that they've been
Kind of
in
back
the-
and forth.
Yeah,
and
back and forth a little bit as far as our coaches poll in the top 5 or first or whatever. I think coaches really respect both of those teams and think they're good. Sometimes if you look at it, the West, they don't play anybody and all of that stuff. So Ainsworth is the thing here, right? I mean, Carter Nelson, they've given up, I don't know, feels like 5 points all year or something.
They have given up 12, 20, they've given up 34 points in 8 games.
Yeah,
It's pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4 shutouts. So you got a 50% chance of scoring
that's
on the
not-
Bulldogs. So tough ass for Kennesaw. One of those other well-coached teams with Craig Schnitzler down there. I like Sandhill Stedford too. I think they played South Loop as their loss, and I think they've got a team that could advance for a little bit here too.
Trey Connell at South Loop is a senior quarterback, running back. He's their leading rusher.
Athlete.
Yeah, athlete. Nice player. Connor Paulson is another guy for South Loop that just a sophomore and kind of a good running back, and that's a name to maybe keep an eye on in the future and as far as 8-man's concerned. DCS, though, they're pretty good if we just go back to basketball season, and their athletics have been kind of rolling here out in Binkelman. So
They've beat Axtell, they've beat Loomis, they beat Hitchcock County. They have a win over Julesburg, Colorado, who is 4-3 in Colorado and has a really good 8-man program over there. And probably the win that impresses me the most is week 2. They beat Perkins County 34-20, so they moved up a class and won there. So Dundee County, Stratton, South Loop, Ainsworth, and Sandhill Stedford, your top 4 seeds in the West. That's your West side. We'll take a quick break here. We'll get the East bracket put together, and we'll be back here on StriveSports.com.
It's thanks to you that we're where we are today. We're proud to watch these communities grow because they're our communities too. Our neighbors, our friends. It's where we live. These are all our hometowns. And no matter what, the people who will continue to serve your needs with the hometown support you know and trust are just down the street. Cornerstone Bank, growing together.
All right, we are back here on StriveSports.com. Tony Chapman, Mike
Sautter.
Sautter, NEB Preps, and we are revealing the last quadrant of the class of the 8-man brackets. This is Class D2 on the east side, and it starts with Johnson Brock. And Mike, I'm gonna let you talk because you've seen the Eagles' very impressive football team this year.
They're pretty good. Sloan Pelican is a load to take down if the passing game isn't open, which they spread it out and they throw it. Coach Roberts done a really nice job with this group and has just in general down there. And But Sloan Pelican, he's not afraid to put his head down or shoulder into you and run you over. As a quarterback, he's tough to tackle. I think they're pretty good. I mean, I saw them against Lords, and they just handled Lords that night. On their,
and it's Lord's only loss, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean,
yeah,
it's saying a little bit when your only loss is that dominating. Let's keep going. Why not's the 2? Here's a road trip. Silver Lake will go up to Why Not in the 2-15 game. Why Not with a big win last night over Bloomfield. They also have wins over Humphrey St. Francis and Howells Dodge in this field. So battle tested are the Blue Devils. The 3rd seed is Central Valley, semifinalists a year ago. They lost to Howells Dodge. Very talented team, got most everybody back there. Coach Chip Bartos does a great job there. Greeley Wallback, North Loop, Scotia. If you don't have your cooperative school put together there, they will host Wausau in the 3-14 game. Up the road in the 4-13 game, well, this will certainly be a 7:00, we would think. Humphrey St. Francis will host Fullerton on the field turf in Humphrey. The 5-12 game will be Lord Central Catholic, who you just mentioned. They'll play High Plains Community, who is the 12 seed. The 6-11 game, I think this could be a good one. Elgin Public, Pope John, and Lawrence Nelson, they will be in the 6-11 game. Then a good old-fashioned cross-county or Crossroads Conference game in the 7-10. I really like this matchup. Osceola, the 7, will host Bruning Davenport Shickley. Cale Gustafson. Yeah. I think there's still Weber's coming from BDS, and so that one will probably be played between the hash marks in Osceola. And then this 8-9 game to me is the most intriguing one in all of 8-man on Thursday night. You have Howells Dodge traveling to Bloomfield in the 8-9 game. The Bees and Howells Dodge. This in the overall projection, we had a lot of lower teams on the west side, so Bloomfield is the overall 12 and Howells Dodge is the overall 14. So they're the 8 and 9. To give you an idea, Mike, the team in between them is Axtell, and they're a 5 seed on the west. So this bracket did get tilted a little bit toward the east, so the reseed is going to be interesting to see.
They will be driving.
How the reseed will shake out pretty interesting here. Anything else you wanted to highlight here on the east side? Johnson Brock, Why Not really jump out to me?
Yeah, those two. Yep. Why Not's been really good, obviously. Why Not and Johnson Brock, the last, as far as coaches poll is concerned, have been at the top or near the top 4 at least all year long. Well, Johnson Brock worked their way up there. I guess they started a little bit lower, but the last few weeks have been right in there. And Why Not? Dylan Heine has been a nice player for them. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that I don't know this for a fact, but Carson Weisler's a nice player and had a nice
kind of like saying
year.
Smith.
Yeah,
Why Not?
I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and assume that one, that he's their leading receiver with 454 yards receiving, which 400, you get over 400 in 8-man feels like it's kind of a lot.
Yep.
So, the reseed I'll be interested to see, because I do like Johnson Brock a lot.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty good. And Humphrey St. Francis, same thing. They had a young team last year. They beat Sacred Heart last year, like a 4:00 game in the playoffs. I'm feeling pretty good about what they got.
The losses, Why Not?
Yeah, they're still a young
Yep.
team. So that Why Not loss, early.
Yep.
They've grown up since then. I think that Carson Wessel is the name. Imagine
Weisler,
yeah,
Wessel,
Wessel and Humphrey is wow,
So let's chat about this just really quickly.
Real quick, if someone can pronounce the freshman running back's name, last name, that I'm not gonna try to at St. Francis, let me know. I would love that. It's Yeah, it starts with a G. I got nothing. So
Let's look at the
he's
overall
their leading
points.
rusher, though, 521 yards on the year, and there's no way.
Galen Kirchen?
Yeah, sure.
So let's go over the overall. We talk about in this qualifying round, it really tilted east. So we mentioned the Bloomfield Howells Dodge is a top 16 matchup. The Osceola BDS matchup is also top 15. Osceola the 11 overall, BDS the 15 overall. So you've got you've got 11 top 15 teams in the east side, and so that's a big one, or I should say 10. Actually, 11 top 16. Lawrence Nelson, who's the 11, is 16th. So 11 of the top 16. Now that said, the top 8 is balanced: 4 East, 4 West. You've got Johnson Brock. Why not? Would be in a tie. Johnson Brock owns the tiebreaker over Why Not, so that would be the 1 and the 2. Dundee County, Stratton, South Loop would be the 3 and the 4. So if you project those out, Johnson Brock, South Loop is a potential semifinal. Dundee County, Stratton, Wynot's a potential semifinal. Then the other 2 undefeateds come in right after that: Central Valley as the 5 and Ainsworth as the 6. So you potentially have like quarterfinal matchups that could be Ainsworth, Dundee County, Stratton, Central Valley, South Loop. So some really good stuff there. And then
South Loop, and I'm sorry,
you're fine.
But South Loop being the 4 seed in our coaches poll has been 1, and I mean all year long.
A solid one all year.
All year long. So, and then you have Why Not, Johnson Brock, and Central Valley at 4. So when you look at the, where the coaches think the teams are versus the wild card points, it can shake things up a little bit as far as who gets to Lincoln. Yeah,
then you've got 3 7-1 teams in behind that. St. Francis and Lourdes are in the east. Sandhill Stedford is in the west as the 4 seed. So you would have 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. So Sandhill Stedford would be the 8. So say everybody up there won, you'd be looking at a Lourdes at Sandhills kind of game, which would be kind of right where the rankings look at too.
And Lourdes is pretty big up front, and they're pretty big and then physical.
Elgin Public, Pope John, Osceola, Bloomfield, Axtell, Howells Dodge, BDS. But remember, you're not going to get all those teams in. You're going to have some teams from the west who obviously are going to win: a Mullen Hyannis winner, a Boyd County, and Selma Myrna. And Selma Myrna is a team that I think could be an interesting one down there. So that's the D2 bracket, the qualifying round.
Yeah, you wanted to
what else you got?
No, I just had one note that you, I guess you could say glaring, but not really if you kind of pay attention to the scores, is Fall City Sacred Heart not in the playoffs.
Yeah, I totally looked it up, and then you remembered it.
And it has been
1986.
1986. So it's been a long time since the Irish have not been in the playoffs, and they're not. So
39 times total in the playoffs, and that was 30. They were in for 36 consecutive years, and that's doing some work. That streak was ongoing when I was in high school. So Coach Doug Gold's obviously one of the legends in the state. So the Irish finished 2-6 this year. They actually were pretty close to that bottom part. They played a really tough schedule. Yeah, absolutely. So, Eric, do you have anything else?
I'm not going to pick we're not picking winners or whatever, but we don't know yet. But like you said, the East.
Pick a game that if you could go see, you'd want to go see D1 or D2.
Well, I'm going to try and find one on Thursday.
Yeah.
Where was I at?
Like
Clarkson Lee Johnson County Central was the one I've never been to a game in Tecumseh.
I like that one.
Maybe that'll be Thursday.
I like that one. I think really good. The one that jumps out for me close to the island is seeing if I could zip over to Osceola.
That one
BDS. I think that would be. I think that would be.
I feel like that
really good
like
football game.
It
sounds like a 16-12 kind of game.
Really tough,
right. Yep.
Tough kids, tough guys, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
We go back. Let's go back to D1.
We can do it. In the West, your North Platte St. Pat's will host Sutton. Sandy Creek will host Maxwell. Highline will host Summerlin. There's a really good running back out of Highline.
Yeah.
Arapahoe
Riker.
Riker Evans. Yeah, Arapahoe will host Hemingford. Ravenna hosting Neely Oakdale. Elkhorn Valley will host Riverside. I like that one. That one will
Riker
be
Evans just got an offer from Dayton the other day and
okay.
has some other
FCS
recruiting
offer.
interest.
Very good.
I think he's got invited to an Iowa game. Too.
Awesome. Perkins County. If I was recruiting you, you're a tough guy. That's my opinion.
Recruiting.
Perkins County will host Cambridge, and in the 8-9 game, you have Bridgeport hosting Alma. Then over on the east, Stanton is the top seed. They're the number 1 overall seed in Class D1. They will host Meade. The 2 seed is Crofton. They will host Tri-County Northeast. The 3 seed is Cross County. They will host Wisner Pilger. And the 4 seed, Plainview, will host Hardington Newcastle. Exeter Milligan Friend is the 5 seed. They'll host Pender. And the 6 seed is Shelby Rising City. They will host Elmwood Murdoch. That one's sneaky good. I think we talked about that too. The other one's sneaky good, Weeping Water and Thayer Central. Should be a good one. And then the 8-9 game, which we just talked about, you might see Mike Sautter there. Johnson County Central will host Clarkson Lee in that 8-9 game. That's your D1 qualifying round matchups for Thursday.
Marcus Sheard, let me know what time the game is.
He will. He'd probably have a good camera there too, or he might be streaming the whole thing.
Yeah, D2.
D2.
Recap D2.
D2. Dundee County Stratton out west. They will host Elm Creek. As the 1 seed. South Loop is the 2 seed. They'll play Ansley Litchfield. The 3 seed is Ainsworth. They will host Kennesaw. What did we say, Mike? 34 points Ainsworth has allowed all season. That'd be a good game for most 8-man defenses. It's a season for them, yeah.
I want to see them, level of competition.
Yep,
right?
exactly. Sandhills Thetford, they will host Overton. In the 4-13 game, the 5 seed is Axtell. They will host Loomis. The 6 seed is Twin Loop. They will host Hitchcock County. The 7 seed is Mullen. They will host Hyannis. And the 8-9 game is Anselmo Murno traveling to Boyd County. Down on the east, the heaviest side of all these kind of 8-man brackets, as we noticed, 11 of the top 16 teams in in the 8-man 2 by the point standings are on this side. Johnson Brock will host Winside in the 116 game. Wynot will host Silver Lake. The 3 seed is Central Valley. They will host Wausau. The 4 seed is Humphrey St. Francis. They will host Fullerton. Lourdes Central Catholic is the 5 seed. They will host High Plains. And the 6 seed is Elgin Public Pope John. They will host Lawrence Nelson. The 7 seed is Osceola. They'll host Bruning Davenport Shickley. And the 8-9 game, which should be, Guy wasn't so far away from Bloomfield. Maybe our guy Nick Benish from the Norfolk Daily News or Dale Miller will get up to that Bloomfield Howells Dodge game. I'm sure that's top of mind for the Norfolk boys as we zip through the first round here, the qualifying round of the 8-man playoffs. That'll do it.
Qualifying round.
I don't want to be mean when I call it the qualifying round, but that's what it feels like in 8-man.
No, I know.
For us, and we'll have
you're qualifying to
get to the the 16-team bracket.
Yeah, it's just
yeah. Next Saturday, same time. Hopefully, Eric Allgood will be right in the middle of us, so we don't have to run this thing. We'll have all the brackets: A, B, C1, C2. We'll reset 8-man with the winners and put those on a bracket for you. You'll have a pretty good idea. And then we'll have the 6-man bracket as well, as they will end their regular season this week and set their 16-team bracket for their championship game,
teams
which
like
will be
Potter and Dix.
Potter Dix is a good one. SEM has been beating a load of teams, and they're really solid in 6-man. So thanks for joining us on StriveSports.com. We'll see you next Saturday for the full playoff bracket reveal.